the country which issues a visa to you is the country which you are visiting. South African government cannot issue a visa to a country which you are visiting, because that is not, it's not South Africa who can say you are welcomed here or not. The only thing which the country will issue to you is the passport. It's the UK who must say, I accept you or I do not accept you. So just using that logic, it is not possible that a South African government can issue a receipt to a South African who is visiting Saudi Arabia, because I can't approve it. So the receipt which was provided by the MP was for a South African who approached VFS because he was traveling to Saudi Arabia. Now, in South Africa, you can go even on the same centers where we have VFS. In this door is a South African VFS. In the next door is a VFS who deals with UK. Do you remember the story, I think last year, where passports get lost, which were carried by VFS for people who were traveling to UK? And then we said as a South African government, no, it's not us. It's because people were visiting the UK. So there is a misconception that once you see a VFS in the country, that VFS meant for Home Affairs, South Africa. So the receipt which we have here, it even says now, S Taresh RSAP2I Ltd, a services center for Saudi Arabia. And then it's even got their way they are writing. So it can't be a South African. I can't give you an authority to go to Saudi Arabia. That is not my country. So if people don't understand how countries of the world operate, they will make those mistakes. Then secondly, if you look at this, then they've got something to say Islamistic investment. I think VFS will explain that, but I don't think it's for me to explain that, as long I'm saying the receipt which we are talking about, which was produced by the MP, is for somebody who's going to Saudi Arabia. Zimbabwe can't issue a visa for a South African who's going to Zimbabwe. I mean, in reverse, what I'm saying, that's what we need to understand.
So basically, from what you're saying as well, in terms of wanting an investigation into their directors, there might be a possibility that this company, which is linked to the President and the Guptas, may be operating in Saudi Arabia, but they're not operating in South Africa. I'm just trying to understand what it's actually.
No, it is not. You remember that for us, for VFS, which we have signed a contract with,
Yeah.
I go out on tender with company A, and then the requirement is that you must give me who are your directorship, who are you accompanying within South Africa, and then I sign a contract with you here in South Africa. But I can't go now as this country and say who else and whatever. That is not our issue. Our issue is to say the MP didn't say there is a VFS with whoever. It says Home Affairs have signed a contract with VFS, who's got a link with the Guptas and Mr. Tutuzani Zuma. So what we're saying, that is not the truth. And what is most importantly is that Minister Gigaba was not here. Maybe it is fortunate that I've been a Director General in the Department of Home Affairs from 1st of April 2010 till to date. So all whatever has happened, I was there. It's me. I am not saying I've got a report. I'm the contracts which I went out on tender, I've signed them. That's why I wanted to emphasize the point to say, no minister. That's why I don't understand that MP to lose that the Public Finance Management Act empowers the accounting officer to set up a fair and a transparent procurement system, and you do the tendering, and then you sign. That's why I brought these things which I have signed.
We are currently responding to the direct allegations made against the department. Our responsibility is not to go to other countries and try and investigate issues that people themselves are not willing to prove and give basis on. So we are responding to the accusation that the department was involved in some irregularity, and we signed a contract to benefit a certain group of people in the country. That one we are trying to prove today that is complete nonsense. So that's what we are here to do. The other issues, I think you should sit down with VFS Global and get all the details you need to get. We are speaking specific to the allegations made against the department.
Why do you guys want to know?
Can I give Aldrin a chance, because he gets very grumpy if he doesn't speak. We'll come back.
Sure. Good afternoon, Aldrin Cynthia from SABC TV News. Why is it so important then for the department to seek clarity from VFS, who their directorship is, if you feel that it's not important how that company deals with other countries and other companies outside of South Africa? Why do you want to know about its directorship? What does it hinge on?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to get a way to explain it, is to say now, even yourself at your home, if I go for a contractor who must come and build something in my home, there are security issues. If now I cannot know who this contractor is, if that contractor has got somebody who's an enemy to your own home, how would you do that? So it's the same how government operates. I need to know whether the company which I am trading with, is it a company which is clean? Is it a company which understands governance issues? Is it a company which is not using stolen money? And all? Is it a company which is paying tax? So I need to understand all those things. Secondly, because this is a global company, I needed to do the business with South Africans, but I might not have a particular resources and all that. Then I need to know further, whom are you going to be contracting with as a partner in South Africa, so that I make sure that this cake is being shared with the South African. Because what I want is to create jobs in South Africa. I want to promote economic issues in South Africa. So that's why I need to know. I can't deal with a company which has got problems. And you know how global world is working. If there is a country which has got sanctions against the other, those sanctions have been issued by the UN, which is the United Nations. I can't, as South Africa, go and trade with that particular country. Equally, with the companies. If as a company you have been blacklisted in the world, I can't go and trade with you with a company like that. As equally as to an individual, why do I vet you as a person who says I want to come and work in Home Affairs, but I have to say, no, before I sign a contract of employment, I want to go and do the vetting and check what is your security status. In particular, again, as you understand, that Home Affairs is operating with security things. So that's why it is always key that as Home Affairs, I will vet the company. And what we do, which now also on this process when it's being checked, State Security Agency, SSA, is mandated by government to vet individuals and vet companies. This company had to be vetted by SSA before, as an accounting officer, I can sign that contract, because we must know who are we dealing with. It's not going to be a threat to the security of the country. So I can't deal with companies which have got linked with things which are not required in terms of our security and the relationship we have with the countries in the world.
And just to add, did you remember, Aldrin, the claim was that there's directorship that is influencing the department, and that's why certain contracts were awarded to them. So The DG is responding directly to you, saying, this is how the process was undertaken. Here are the directors. Here's the company. It's willing to be transparent. Because the accusations and the insinuations being cast are a great concern for the department's integrity. So we don't want those assertions being cast without fact. So we are sharing with you what the facts are. We'll take another question. Yeah. Can go back to you, Karen.
Okay, I'm trying to understand your answer to Aldrin. So you saying that this company was vetted by the intelligence services, but you're also saying that part of why you want to know who its directors are is because you fear a security threat or something. I'm struggling to understand your logic. And also, if you could just say, absolutely categorically at this point, are you 100% certain that this company is not linked to FSDF? Because the impression that may be created is that...
Linked to who, Karen?
The SABC is linked to the Gupta-owned, Zimbabwean-owned company. Because the impression that may be created, and that's why I'm seeking clarity, is that this company does have some kind of global connection to the family and to Zimbabwe. You're not certain of that, so you're asking them to reveal who their global partners are. But your direct response now is that there's no relationship within South Africa to the South African branch. Because I just think it's very important that we're clear on this. Can you categorically say that this company is in no way linked on a global scale to the President's family, to the Zimbabwean, or to the Gupta?
But Karen, sorry, Karen, are you speaking about the direct accusations made to the Department of Home Affairs about the contracts that it signed with VFS in South Africa? Because we need to make that distinction. You are asking the DG now to come out and tell you everything that VFS Global is doing internationally. We're not saying that we don't mind going to find that information for you, but we came here to respond to direct accusations that the Department of Home Affairs has a link with the Gupta-owned business, and as a result of that, we created this contract. We are sharing with you all the details about that. Now you are asking us to go internationally, and can I finish?
To investigate the directorship.
No.
Why was that?
There's
Can
no way.
you categorically say there's no link?
Karen, I'm trying to explain to you. You are asking the DG to go across and make an unequivocal claim to a company internationally. He is speaking about his responsibilities as the Director General of Home Affairs in South Africa. He is speaking about his dealings with VFS and Home Affairs in South Africa. VFS Global is right behind you. I think you should ask them about their directorship and their links to whoever you claim, Guptas or anybody else. I think you should ask them that question about who their links are internationally. We are responding to accusations that Home Affairs in South Africa made a deal with VFS Global because they were influenced by the Guptas in South Africa. And he also went further to say that we cancelled certain permits and projects as a result of that relationship. So we are responding directly to that. Who VFS speaks to or partners with, they are right behind you. Ask them all the questions you want to ask them. They are willing to share. They're even going to have a press statement tomorrow. But DG, I'll hand to you.
Yes, no, I think that let's correct this mistake. Because if now we don't, we're going to go in a wrong tangent. We said we have contracted with VFS Global. That VFS Global, I've got their directorship, has got nothing to do with the Guptas or whoever. That's what I said. I investigated. Then I went further and said, as a South African government or other governments as well, they will say to them, we need, because you are a global company, we want you to have a South African partnership. Do you understand? Then that partnership, I will check it between the contract of Home Affairs and VFS Global as far as the work of the Home Affairs. That's what I'm guaranteeing you, that that part has got nothing like that. But that VFS now, which I can't be, I'll be really giving me powers I do not have. I might be an accounting officer, but it's only for South African Department of Home Affairs, not other countries. I can't go now and say, you've got a relationship now with Saudi Arabia, with UK, with China, with whoever. Who do you partner with? Then I'm going outside of my scope. Has got nothing to do with me. But what I'm guaranteeing you is to say VFS Global as an entity, I know who are the shareholders there. I can tell you that on the documents I have, they are registered as a company in Switzerland. I've got all that. Then with the South African counterpart of theirs, I vetted that. I know it. They don't have anything to deal with all what we're talking about. That's why now my Hlome is coming back to this point and saying, when the then Minister of Home Affairs, Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, came up with this dispensation for the SADC countries. You remember our point we always says, 99% of people who are applying for asylum seeker in our refugee center are economic migrants. They are not running away of any of persecution and all that. Then we said, let's concentrate now to the SADC region. And we look and say, people are running from Swaziland, from Lesotho, from Zimbabwe and all that. Are they persecuted on what? Then we realized that no, people are coming to our country for economic reasons. That's why during the festive, we'll come to you and say, in a day, we process about 29,000 people in Zimbabwe crossing back to Zimbabwe. Why would they cross back to Zimbabwe if they are running out of persecution? Then we said, what we need to look at is that these people are the economic migrants, but we cannot just give every SADC country on day one, because these things need to be processed. You need to have a capacity, and again, we need to look at the country will be able to absorb that. Then we said, we want a dispensation for SADC countries. That's what the cabinet approved. Then we started with Zimbabwe. We were asked, after Zimbabwe, which will be the country next? Then we said, once we finish Zimbabwe, we'll look at the next country. What did we do? 2010 December, I still remember that day clearly. We were closing that thing on the 31st of December. I was at work here in Pretoria, though I'm coming from somewhere, but I was here to close that project. Then that permit had a specific that it is 4 years. It had to expire. And then when it comes to expire, then we went back to cabinet and say, we have learned the lessons from the Zimbabwean dispensation, therefore we can extend it. But what did we do? We said only to those people who have applied. That's why then it was about 275. Now it is at 197 because other people have left. They're no longer qualifying and all that. With that experience now, then we said, which country is next? We said it is Lesotho. But the door is not yet closed. We're still going to look at Swazis. We're still going to look at Mozambicans. We're going to look at all those countries which we are sharing a borders with it. So it can't be a policy decision like that is linked just because there is a company called VFS. It's not possible.
Yeah, Aldrin.
Can I ask it this way? With VSS, the service or the agreement that the Department of Home Affairs currently have with that company, or has with that company, is there any link in terms of their partnership here in South Africa where they link to Island Site Investment, which is the company which the directorship there is the Guptas as well as President Jacob Zuma's son? And sorry, yeah, you can answer that question and then I'll have a follow-up based on that.
No, it's what we were saying that Gupta's, I'm sorry, I said Gupta's now. VFS, they will tell you what company they link with it. What I know is the company they link with it is got a number, it's 300 and what? 3 something number, but they will explain to you. Doesn't have the link with the Guptas. That's what I know. As I'm saying that one, I can say it that I do not have signed a contract as Home Affairs with anything from 2010 which links with that.
Okay. And just based on that, DG, you'll understand that, as my Thomas said as well, that the insinuations that have been created based on what the MP has, well, revealed or claims, is that whether the agreement with the VFS was that if we agree to go into a contract with you or you win this tender, one of those conditions would be that you have to give some sort of partnership or go into some sort of partnership with this island-side investment company. Can you state right now that that's not the case?
No. As a department, there is no way that we can dictate to a company and say, you must have a relationship with company A. You can't say that. But what we are saying is that when you've got a business with us, you must have a South African component to be able to work with you. That's all what we do. And it's not only on that. As you understand now, even with the procurement, we are saying now as a South African government, if you build trains, we need that you buy a certain material up to this particular percentage to the local market. That's all what we say. But we can't go and say this local market now means is equal to my Hlome. It can't be. Is equal to the local market, and that local market, which you're going to be buying that, there must be a process how you are choosing that so that we can make sure that every procedure has been followed. So it's the same with us. You'll recall when we're dealing with the issue of the visa regulations now, when we were saying in China, that's what the minister said even on the budget speech, China does not allow a country to have more than one a visa facilitation. And their rule, it says your visa facilitation must be close to your embassy. That is the rule of China. But because of our circumstances, we had to go to China and request and we had to go and get a permission to say you can open an extra visa facilitation center. So each country has got its own rules. China, similar to South Africa as well, that VFS or whatever must have a partnership with the local in China. So that's a rule which we have in South Africa, but it's not only about, that's what I'm saying, it's not only about our visa facilitation. I'm saying now, as a country, we say, when we procure something from abroad, I have to go and get an approval from DTI. If I'm going to be doing anything which has got a foreign content, I must go to DTI and say, I'm procuring this system. This system is going to have this foreign component, and they must measure whether that foreign component, is it 10% or is it whatever. Based on that, I must get that certificate as a Department of Home Affairs. Why we are doing that? We want the growth in our economy.
And I hope you heard the DG correct, Adrian. He's saying that there are no links, and the allegation that the department signed with VFS because VFS somehow has shareholder or directorship from either the Guptas or from Duduzane Zuma is not true. So we're responding directly to that. And also, DG, I think he needs to explain to him that there's no way Home Affairs SA can control what Saudi Arabia partners up with in terms of their VFS company or visa facilitation companies that they use. It's not possible. No, it's not possible. We can't influence another country's security concerns and how they choose to issue out their visa facilitation process. It's not possible.
And again, it does not mean, as well as that point is important, not every country is using a VFS. They don't. Other countries, they get applications directly to them. So you can't say now, I will prescribe and say, this is how I want you to do it. It does not. Even us as a country now, we're only in 16 countries abroad. We're not in each and every corner of the country abroad, because you depend on your own issues, whether it's the volumes of the visas in that particular area and all that. And I think it's also important that in our APP of this year, as a Department of Home Affairs, which will continue with the innovation, which I'm saying to us as a department, we must not be deterred in terms of thinking better for our clients just because somebody in the corner is going to try and shut us down. We'll never change this department and the country. Let me explain to you now. Already in our APP, we'll be coming now with the e-permit system in this department. What e-permit now means is going to be the same one which we have with the ID, that people now will apply. That's why the contract I have with VFS, I didn't sign a lifetime contract with them. It's not. I signed them a contract for a specific period. And in that specific period, it was because of a particular challenges which we had. But going from there, I want now to have an e-permit so that I don't have a VFS. You will apply online, it comes to us, and then we adjudicate. As good as the ID. An ID, I had a courier service, so I've appointed about Skynet and everybody, even the post office. They were taking that, you fill a paper in the office. It was put on this courier with a photo taken under a tree or whatever, send it to us at a cost. But what did I do now? I stopped that. I'm no longer getting now a paper. What I do, you apply online, you get your ID with no paper, no courier. Another one, we're discussing it even today. I was saying to my colleagues, why did we implement and on the swapping of the cards, paying by your credit card or your debit card in the Office of Home Affairs? Why? It's because I had a contract with GS4 where they go and collect cash and deposit it in the bank. It costs us millions of rands. Then the day we started and saying, no, man, why do you do this? People have got debit cards, have got credit cards, have got everything. Why don't you use that? If you go now to the Office of Home Affairs, you'll find that. What does that mean now? The cost of the GS4 is coming down. So Home Affairs must be allowed to innovate and do things better for this country. Otherwise, once we start be constrained by this thing, we're going to not change this department. So with the current minister, our resolve is to say, innovate, change this department. Bottom line, we won't get out of a paperless and of a paper process, we want a paperless process. But yes, at a particular interval, I will get an assistance from a company A, but not ultimately. So VFS knows I didn't sign a lifetime contract with them. I want to put it on record. I've signed with them a contract for a particular period, and that must not constrain us to innovate as if now I wanted to keep VFS in Home Affairs for life. No.
Yeah. I think, Aldrin, it's a good thing that we have the DG here because he was there at the time and he is explaining the rationale behind every single decision. So not only is he giving you the rationale about ZSP and even other interventions that are coming, he's also giving you some of the documents. So we are on the record saying that there was nothing untoward signed between Home Affairs and VFS Global. And there is no links in terms of the directorships and the ownership of VFS with any of the people that have been mentioned by the MG. We want to put that very clearly. We have welcomed VFS Global to come forward and also speak to the media about their partnerships in South Africa and abroad. They will give you all those details, but I think it's unfair to ask us or the DG to speak on behalf of every other department in the world or even country in the world and say that he knows what partnerships they are. But they are right here and they are willing to share all the information that with you that you need. We are coming forward because we also want you to hold to some level of accountability the people that make these accusations. We are a department that values its integrity, so we want you to take those people that make those accusations, hold them to account for their accusations. That's why we are coming forward with all the details, and we challenge them, as the minister did in Parliament, to come forward with all the details too. Is there any other question? So I can allow you to attack VFS Global at the back if you want.
Okay,
Okay,
so
thank you.